There was some more, but then right now nobody.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير الخلق وسيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. Welcome you all in this monthly meeting. We hope inshallah to have it monthly. And actually, the goal from this meeting is to have like an open forum for the community here. So like our brothers and sisters who have the skills and knowledge to benefit the community. This is like an open forum for them to like talk with the community and discuss like important issues for them. It isn't only like religious topics, but actually we are aiming like to have like stuff like that benefits the daily life of the community members here. Any topic, if you feel like or that you have the skills and knowledge to help the community here, this is open for you. If you know like someone who can help also the community and like present something that people can get benefit from it, and it is like very wide range of topics that can go here and help here. Topics that help the people like, as we mentioned, like religion, health, social life, economic life, business, any topic. We have like our group, like if you can like provide like something like that help like their college life, like scholarship, like how to maintain stuff like mental health, psychological issues, economically, how people here in the community can help like to thrive in the community and have more like opportunities in the community. So this is open forum for this. We hope inshallah to continue it like monthly and have like a presenter each month. But we need like help from you, so you may know someone who can like make this talk or speech. It doesn't have any like specific way. You just can come talk, have a presentation, make a speech, a discussion, a seminar. So it is an open forum for the community, as I mentioned, that help in any type of topic that benefit the community. So inshallah we hope like to get the benefit of this and help the community. As we see, like volunteering in the community have like different ways to help with, like as something like this. So inshallah we hope like to start with this one and keep going in all months inshallah. So I'd like to welcome Brother Sayyid Jamal and Brother Ahmed Mustafa for the seminar today. And inshallah the topic that we are going to discuss is the Islam and environmental obligations and duties of Muslims. They have some slides and inshallah they encourage you also like to participate in the discussion to enrich the topic inshallah. So the floor is for you and let me know if you want to hear.
Hello, can you hear? We have sent you an invitation topic is about the environment. So I'm starting about what is the reality of the environment and what we want the environment to be. Where do we stand in this world? What Islam tells us to do? What are our duties as Muslims? So we will come to that. We are going to have two parts. I'm going to start with some of the stuff on the environment and where we stand, and then Brother Ahmed will come up with all these things. He will also talk about our responsibilities as Muslims, what Islam says about the environment? Okay. So let us look at the reality. At the recent COP27 summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, which you know better than me, the UN chief said exactly these words. What does that tell you? You know, kind of bleak, but I wanted to draw your attention, so that's why I put it there. Driving on a highway to hell with a foot on the accelerator. He's from Portugal, he's a smart guy. So that's how he put it. So the situations, there is data. Carbon dioxide emissions have gone up. Methane emissions are going up. Methane, natural gas, burning wood, fossil fuel, releases carbon dioxide. A lot of cows in the world, they release carbon dioxide when they belch, they eat, they use. So, and then there is agricultural runoff in the form of fertilizers, there's heavy metals. Some of the good things we mention, as we say, the ozone hole got better because there may be less emissions during Corona. Okay, so now let's just start. We know the reality, and then what is the dream? To conserve energy, to use less, be parsimonious and frugal in our consumption. I wanted to put some material about something called degrowth, dedevelop. That's a new thinking. It is finding hard to take hold, but maybe later we can talk about that. To grow less. So how do this is what we want to do, to stop consumption, to have less use of fossil fuels that you all know about, maybe electric car. All of these alternatives also have attendant challenges of pollution. Lithium mining, if you have lithium ion battery, somebody has to get lithium out of the environment. And then the battery has to be taken care of. Yeah, so those are challenges. Now, how did all this start? The cutoff was development, industrial revolution, about 1800s, mid-1800s. European quest for resources and technology. And we Muslims had a role because we had cut off the Mediterranean. They couldn't go anywhere, so they had to find a way around, and which they did. And technology, steamboat, and the advent of Western advancement and civilization growth. Yeah. So it happened in stages, but it happened. So we have had Western civilization. Now you should also remember that as a religion, Islam is seen as a Western religion. Okay? Islam, Middle East is very close to the Western world, so we are included in that also. So Western civilization has made lots of progress. They have democracy, they have development, government. But since the Industrial Revolution, we have come full scale, to pretty much to the brink of disaster because it seems like we have about 100 years of livable being where people can live in most parts of the world. Coastal areas, you can see what is happening: flooding, storm, hurricane, cyclones, wildfires. Even in the U.S., if you look, just think about it. Look at coastal areas, the challenges, water crisis, Lake Mead is drying up. So all this has come, and instead of putting the blame, I'm putting it just in the right perspective. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have had lots of development. This development, unfortunately, everyone. I was talking to Dr. Ghulam Chaudhry, who recently retired as the chair of electrical computer engineering at at UMKC, Missouri. Fully agreed. He said everyone is still following that same model of development. We all want to do it that way. We all want to have roads and highways. We all want to have skyscrapers, cars, technology, gadgets, emissions. Where are we going to go? So this has been happening ever since the Industrial Revolution. And it has become, and the reason we call it a consumeristic model is because it's GDP based. So like countries that do not have a high GDP, that do not produce a lot of pollution, do not have too much production, are considered backward. Underdeveloped, developing poor. You could be a small country like Bhutan, which is doing a lot of energy production through hydroelectricity. Bhutan would be a good model for people who are concerned with the environment. But people who are obsessed with GDP production, more material goods, measuring things in GDP, for them Bhutan wouldn't be a great model. So if you don't produce a lot, like many countries in Africa, I think they're fine. I'm not going to call them poor because they have resources, they can live. But they wouldn't be considered modern or developed until they produced lots of things, including metals, plastics, building concrete. So they develop. But where does this development take us? That's the whole idea of the thing. So that's why we're saying that this model shows no signs of slowing down. Now what about Islam? As recently as August 2015 in Istanbul, there was an Islamic declaration. Scholars and experts gathered and they made a case based on Islamic teachings about which Brother Ahmed will talk more about, and I'm just giving it here, that they urge all people to take action on climate. So from whatever brief my memory is, I know that Islam has displayed a concern for the environment from the very beginnings. Scorched earth technique was when a retreating army will burn agriculture and crops, won't leave any food for your army because they're leaving, you're taking over that place, correct? Islam was the first. In written instructions given by Khalifa Hazrat Abu Bakr, said, no, you cannot do that, stop that thing. So you couldn't burn any food or grain, even if the enemy would take it. So there are many other examples we can talk about of environmental protections that were used during early years of Islamic rule, even later than today.
As you hear, we've got a conference.
So we as Muslims, what do we see now? What is the state of the global and local environment? Well, you all know about global warming. So if I can show you data, you already know. Greenhouse emissions have gone up. They have measured, they can tell that carbon dioxide emissions have gone up, still going, methane emissions going up. There's wildfires, too much dry air, and just like lighting a match or flint, and then those trees burn up. I've seen it myself when I was in Los Angeles, California. My friend Ricardo Morales, who invited me to a conference, he took me and I saw the wildfire. Very close angles, beautiful rich homes, all burned. So that is happening close to home. Ozone layer depletion we just mentioned. So the ozone O3, when it is in the upper atmosphere, it protects us from ultraviolet rays. Lower atmosphere, it can contribute to smog. So that had been depleted because of chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons. Now, during Corona, that ozone hole over Australia in the southern hemisphere has gone a little bit better, but we don't know how long it will last. Okay, and of course, there's a water crisis. So why is the water drying up? Overuse, water intensive, water extensive lifestyle in many countries. So flush. When I first came to this country, I was explained, my professor, one of them, he taught biology and zoology, genetics, he told me that we have taken care of so many diseases by using flush. 70% of diseases are waterborne. So if you're using flush, everything goes down there. But you're using a lot of water. So people have talked about, Bill Gates talked about waterless toilet. Okay, those are, people are talking about those. But there is a water crisis, we know that. In Cape Town, South Africa, there was an issue, correct? And then now there is Scottsdale, Arizona, they said they're not going to take water to cities outside of Phoenix, Scottsdale. 20, 30 miles, there are some small towns. Rich people have bought homes on the hills and they need water. So that is the extent of water crisis. Lake Mead is drying up, Colorado River. So Midwest is still not as bad, but in the West, there is a water crisis, and that can impact on agriculture. And you can see the images, desertification, food, ozone layer. And so this is the state in which we are. And it's a cause for concern. I don't want you to become despondent and gloomy. We still can make a difference. But what each of us can do, that's the point. So these emissions are rising, there's plastics going, now microplastics. So like this, I mean, how many years we have? I mean, our children, 100 years after that, it can be a bigger crisis. At home, what do we have? So global environment, what about at home, here around in Kansas? Kansas, we have had enhanced oil recovery. People in engineering would know more about it. You use liquid chemicals and water into the rock, and then you try to get oil from there out. So that's called enhanced oil recovery. And this is a technique which some people have linked it to earthquakes. And the schematic shows what is done. The whole point is you're using water, oil, whatever to get oil out. And this can cause environmental damage. Water can leak into the areas around it with dirt and chemicals. So this is the technique people have been using, and there is also in other parts of the world, but close to home, we have done fracking in, I'm sure, other parts of Kansas. There was another thing, I used to follow this area, Douglas County and Lawrence, over the years that I've lived here, and there was an agricultural fertilizer company called Farmland Fertilizer Industries. There was sunflower before, and Mr. Abbasi used to work in that area many years ago. So Farmland Industries left, and they have nitrated water there. So the city of Lawrence, what they did, they asked permission. I think KDHE and the state of Kansas, they worked with them. And they dumped about 30 million tons of water into the river, not all at one time, but slowly, in phases. So nitrates are, for example, why I'm talking about this nitrate? Okay, so one of the major problems is nitrates are used in fertilizers. Also we have sulfates, we can talk about it. So these are chemicals that are found in water. So when we talk about fracking, we thought it would be appropriate to talk about nitrates, sulfates, phosphates. Giving an example of nitrate in water, from where? They're going from agriculture runoff, ammonium nitrate. There are factories that produce it, we use it. But this nitrate in drinking water, I found out that 10 milligrams per liter. So 10 milligrams per liter is the allowable limit. Now, you can, if it goes to 50 milligrams per liter, that can have problems in babies. It can oxidize hemoglobin in your red blood cells. So then it should be oxygenated so it can bind another oxygen and release it. If you oxidize it, meaning oxygen just binds it, you won't be able to then release the oxygen, and you can have blue baby syndrome, respiratory problems. So that is how, one of the ways nitrates can cause problems. Okay, so then, along with nitrates, sulfates and phosphates. So blue-green algae are single-cell eukaryotic cells, animals. They're called cyanobacteria in Kansas. You can see, show the image. So fertilizer use, human use, food waste, all these things cause the bloom of algae in water. And what do algae do? They take up the oxygen because they photosynthesize. And when they photosynthesize, they take up the oxygen and they starve the other animals like fish. Fish can die, and you can have serious problems in that water. From there, in this thing, from here, this water can go to estuaries, which connect sea to river. Between the river and the sea, there are things called estuaries, like a depression of sand where salt water and salt water, river water mix. In there, you can have problems. Now, from there, water can go to the ocean, so you can spread it all around. We have also had problems with phosphates, another chemical that was used in Tide and other detergents for washing clothes. It's also phosphates, a lot of phosphates are found in Morocco and Algeria, mining in the soil, but you can also use it, chemical use can release it in the water. So this can be the result. And it can also cause liver damage in people if they're exposed to this water. They cannot swim. For example, KDHE has issued an advisory for that. So federal standards, so there are federal standards to take care of these things. Now, are they good enough? Like we said, some of these standards were set about 30 years ago. So some groups, especially environmental groups, are asking those to be reset, reevaluated, and maybe changed. So that's why people should be aware of. Like we even haven't talked about heavy metals here. Lead, mercury, those are also in the water. They can go in the water. So there are standards, so that should change maybe or be updated. So maybe plastic and food waste. We have talked about some of these things before, but to re-emphasize, billions of plastic bags are used. Plastic doesn't degrade. Now they can go to the sea, asphyxiate and suffocate animals that have been found in turtles, fish. The plastic can also break down and go in the air. I wrote a recently article of microplastics in the air. So there is some technology, maybe they can measure if need be. But that is one issue that can arise through a lot of plastic use, plastic bottles, plastic plates. So it can hurt the environment. So many tons, I mean, you can see the data right here. Coffee cups. So this is one of the major problems in the environment today. It started in 1930s, and this is all the data here. There are microplastics which are very small. Microplastics can, like I said, go in the water or they can get up in the air. Cosmetics, household clothes, microbeads in cosmetics, some chemicals, face wash they use in cosmetics use. Yeah. So there was a movement to I think they signed an act. So we have to see how much they're following it. Now food waste. So food waste has a huge carbon footprint. Food does not decompose. So when we eat and if we throw away the food, that is really, something that hurts the environment. 40% of the food, people on the street were saying that anyway, but then some study was done, they found out about the same number. 40% of food is wasted in the Western world, many other countries same. So food waste contributes to global warming, and it's something that should be avoided. So now let's see what the Quran talks about. So Quran tells us that we can be like a Khalifa on the earth. Look at the earth, how many noble things we have created, and you can take over from here. Either way, verbally or okay.
So thank you, brothers and sisters, for coming today for this informative session. Thank you, brother Sayyid Jamal, Dr. Sayyid Jamal, for the informative overview about the problem and why we should be aware as human beings of this problem. And now I would like to ask everybody, if you participated today and you came and show up to the mosque, I think you already have something toward that topic. You feel there is, as a Muslim, what should I do? Is this problem is something affecting me as a Muslim, or is just as a human being? Because we have two different levels here. Here we have the level of humanity, because we're a human being, and the level of being a Muslim. why, as a Muslim, should I participate in sessions like that or being initiative? Why I should try to fight for the environment? Why, as a Muslim, as a human being, we understand now this is a huge problem facing all of us. But who I am, I'm just a person. I'm not a politician, I'm not a leader. Why I should do anything? Let's start with something, I guess I will go through 3 levels. The first one is theological. In Islam, I'm talking about Islam, okay? I'm talking about our religion. Why, as a Muslim, I should participate in sessions like this or being initiative in my environment or my work or wherever. The first step is theological one. The second one is the jurisprudence of Islam, the Islamic law. And the third level, I will talk about the objectives of Islamic law. The first step, when we read the whole verses talking about human being, the first human being, or Adam, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, and how this is related to corruption. In chapter number 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, when we read the verse number 30, you will find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing angels that He's gonna create Adam. The first thing they ask it, why should you create the human being that is gonna do corruption and shed blood? So this is the first thing the angels said about human beings. Let us go farther to chapter of Rome, the Romans, and see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran said ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا. The corruption has been spread all over the globe because in the sea, in the land, because of what humans are doing. And God showing them to taste what they are doing to themselves. This is in the Quran. Corruption here from the very beginning and corruption there. So why are we here then? Why Allah created human beings? Because of you. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. That is the only thing that made a human being is better than angel, that they have the will to do the right and the will to do the wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know that there are some people who are doing the good and they are informing others to do good and trying to block them from doing the bad. From theological point of view, who is the owner of the globe? Who's the owner? If I ask any Muslim, what do you believe the real owner of everything? You will say, Allah. لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار. Allah is the only real owner of everything. So what are we here? We are a trustees, we are a renter, we are even our human bodies. When you ask as a Muslim and you create an aqidah, our body is just the vehicle that God gives you, and you will be held accountable in front of God. That's the whole point of Khalifa as being the governor of this universe, because we are going to be asked as human beings, what did we do to ourselves? In our beliefs, I believe that this body belongs to Allah. And Allah gave it to me as a vehicle in this life, and then after this period I will be asked. So as a trustee, we are entrusted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of our bodies and on this universe. We are going to be held accountable. Everybody will be held accountable about what they can do if you are harming yourself. That will lead us to the second step. The law. What is the Islamic law about this? What is the Islamic law about things that harm people? As brother said, Jamal said, even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the army when they are going to in a battlefield, don't kill a human being that is not participating in the war. Don't cut off trees. Don't burn something for nothing. And even don't kill an animal except out of hunger. This is authentic hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the mercy for all the universe. As a jurisprudential aspect, when you ask a faqih, why do you consider smoking illegal, haram, prohibited? 40 years ago it wasn't, right? For a long time Muslims were consumers of smoking all over the place, and all the sheikhs or all the imams, they didn't say anything until they faced the problem. It's proven by science that anybody smokes is going to die sooner or later. From this, all the committees of in the Islamic world, they issue fatwas that smoking is prohibited because of this. Because you're harming yourself, and harm yourself is prohibited in Islam. Go back to our topic. We're not talking about just harming myself. I'm harming the whole universe, harming myself, my brothers, and all the human beings. So what is the rule here? In Islam we have two obligations. To be clear, more clearer, the fuqaha or the imams of the Muslim schools, they classify what we should do or what we shouldn't according to 5 steps. Obligatory, something we have to do, we must do, and if we didn't, we are going to be punished by Allah. And if we did this obligatory, we are going to get rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second step is recommended. Sunnah, recommended. Something, if you did, you take rewards. If you didn't, it's okay. You're not harmed. You're not going to be harmed. The third level is mubah, the lawful. And this is the light. And then the fourth is disliked. Something you shouldn't do, but if you did, you're not going to be harmed. But if you obtain from doing these things, is disliked, makruh, that means you're getting rewards from Allah. The last one is haram. Means it's prohibited, and if you did that, you will be punished. Let's go to the first step. The first step is the obligatory, al-wajib, al-fard. We have two types of obligatory. That's what I mean. The first one is personal obligatory, and the second one is societal or communal obligatory. Let me ask you a question. If somebody in our community passed away, is it obligatory to everybody to wash his body and bury him and do the prayer? What's the difference between al-asr, al-isha, and the prayer in the funeral? The isha, the fard, is personal. You as a person, a human being, is Muslim, you are obliged to do that by yourself. But the funeral is collective obligatory. What does it mean? That all the community, if they didn't do that, the whole community are be punished by God. But if some of them did this societal obligatory, all of them are okay. From this point of view, when you go to the Nawawi, for example, in his book, when we're talking about the knowledge, he classified all the knowledge and explained why the Muslim community, or the Muslims at all, as a community, they are obliged to some certain things to serve their community. So when you go to this, like 7 centuries ago back, you will see that he claims, he says, the Imam, if the whole community didn't have certain types of jobs, and they are in lack of these jobs, they are all punished. If there is not enough doctors in the Muslim world, they are punished. The whole community. If this is the societal, the communal obligation. When we're talking about our topic, this is what we have to face. It's communal. It's a societal obligation to save this world. It's not for fun. When I participate in something like this or being initiative, it's not for fun. When I didn't or I try to consume less plastic, my intention is I'm saving the human beings, I'm saving the world. And this is a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you're doing actually obligatory. If we have certain numbers that telling us something is going to happen soon, let me put it this way. We are in this beautiful mosque. We have a board and we have us as the members. If there is numbers from engineers and they telling us, okay guys, according to my calculation, if you didn't maintain this building after 50 years, it's gonna be collapsed. While you're praying, while you're at home, we don't know. But after 50 years, this will happen. What is the role of the community? Can you say like, oh, well, there is a board? Yes, the board are going to be accountable for that. But as members, you need to participate and tell them, we need to stop doing something. We need to make initiative to maintain our building. Because after 50 years, if we all stopped, after 50 years when it collapses on all of us, all people are going to die. They are considered to be the sin for everybody and the members of this community. It's not just one person will be held accountable. It's everybody. It's a societal obligation. We are talking about societal obligation as Muslims for the environment. When we participate, you put that in your intention. And this will lead us to the third level in Islamic law. What is the objectives of Islamic law? When the Imams went to the whole Islamic law, we will hear to the adhan and then we will continue.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
You're still here? You ready for food? Or can we take a lot more 5 minutes or so? Anyway, what I would like to say here.
So عشاء at 7.
Okay, mashallah. So the step that we're going to the Islamic law and ask imams or scholars, what do you think about this problem? We, as Muslims now, we should understand the concept of communal or societal obligations. So we, as Muslims, we have to have or maintain brothers and sisters that are specialized in environmental issues. If this is not happening in the community, we're in a problem. As if you need other jobs, you need this job. According to the analogy that every job inside our community that serves the community is a societal obligation, that means we need to encourage people to do research about that. So thanks for brothers and sisters who are giving us these lectures, who are informing us about this problem, because as imam, as sheikh in the mosque, when you ask me about something, I will tell you. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. You should ask the people of dhikr. Who are the people of dhikr here? If you are talking about a building is going to collapse, I will tell you, we need to ask an engineer who tells us what is the problem and how we can solve this problem, and he will be the expert or she will be the expert to tell the imam the numbers. So we need brothers and sisters who are specialized in this issue to give us a proven research, numbers, how we are gonna act accordingly. And they are very appreciated by the society because they are doing societal obligation. Because if they didn't do it, we all as Muslims will be in a punishment by God. The third level I was talking about the objectives of Islamic Sharia. Maqasid al-Sharia. When we ask the Imam, the scholars of Islam, what is the maqasid of Sharia? They tell you, we read all the Islamic laws and we surveyed them and we came up of things that Islam intends to save as the priority, the necessity. And they are 5 things. حفظ الدين, to save the religion. حفظ النفس, to save the soul or the human being. حفظ العقل, to save the minds or the intellect. حفظ النسل, to save the offspring. And the last one, حفظ المال, to save the property. So when we survey the whole Islamic law, we came up with this as necessity. That means if you have something next to that necessity, you need to prioritize this necessity. Let me give you an example. If you are Muslim, you shouldn't drink alcohol or eat pork. That's obvious. But what the rule if we are in a desert and we're gonna die? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do. In this case, you have to eat pork or drink wine because this is the only way that's gonna save your soul. What does it mean? It means that human being soul is prioritized. in Islam. Religion, to save the religion, to save the human being, to save the minds, intellectual, to save the offspring, to save the property. Let us go back and ask, what do you think about this problem? Does it contradict with these 5 necessities that all the Muslim scholars are agreeing about? You are going to harm yourself? Yes. We are going to harm ourselves? Yes. Is it contradict with حفظ the offspring and nasl? Yes. If we didn't save this planet for our children, we are doing something against our religion. And the last one is حفظ المال, the property. If you are making destruction for all the properties in the earth, you're doing things against our religion. We need as Muslims to be initiative because it's out of our religion. It's not for fun. It's not because I think it's a human being. Yes, it's a human being thing. But also my religion asks me to be initiative and to ask people to do something for this earth, and also I myself will start to obtain from consuming a lot of harm things that can harm our planet because it's against our religion. I hope I was clear enough about how our religion encouraging us to be initiative. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. So why the Muslim nation was the best? Because they were initiative to ask people to do good things and not to do bad things. That's our duties as Muslims, to encourage people, to encourage politicians, to make awareness about our problems as one of our religion, not just as human beings. I think if we started from this level, everybody will feel that they doing something and they getting rewards by participating and by making initiatives to save our planet. And at least at the end, you will be asked by Allah, لما تعظون قوما الله مهلكهم أو معذبهم عذابا شديدا قالوا معذرة إلى ربكم ولعلهم يتقون. So in the Quran, in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah said that some people will tell you, why are you encouraging those people? They are going to go to hell. And these good people told them, معذرة إلى ربكم ولعلهم يتقون. We are doing that, so when we are asked by Allah, we will tell Him we did what we can. We informed them about bad and good, and then it's out of my hand. As if you reach this point that you are feeling that you did what you can, at that point you will feel that if God asked you, you will be told that I informed people, I tried my best. And thank you for participating and thank you for coming. Did you want to add something?
So thank you very much. I appreciate giving us the opportunity to discuss. So thank you, Brother Ahmed Mustafa, for great explanations. And so we should live, with a few things, and we can discuss these now, later. What can we do as a community? What other groups are doing in the city? So think globally, act locally. So what we can do at the local level. There is a new initiative. There's a change in mayorship. So Lisa Larson will become the new mayor, and then she has shown some interest in trying to ban plastic at the city level. So there will be people on December 13th. There's a conference at the city hall. Many of us are going. Lawrence ecological groups in teams in sustainability led us. They have been trying other groups. So if some of us from this community can join, that would be wonderful to put pressure on the city to do some legislation, which they can do. So, that's Islamic Center can definitely take some. We have suggested that before. Brother Farhad, who left, he was here, he was talking about solar panels. Then we have had other suggestions, and some of these have been done. So this is how, as a community, we can contribute. As Muslims, it's our duty. So appreciate that, and we can have questions, answers. Thank you.
Do you have any questions or any comments?
Yeah, comments. Feel free.
Any criticism? That also, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, so I think someone to look at. Someone to look at. Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. Can you come here? Please. Can you have a mic?
Someone else like that. I mean, alhamdulillah, thanks for the wonderful present, wonderful talk. It was very, had a lot to learn. I think to me, my concern, something that Brother Said hinted on, microplastics. I think we do talk about global warming and everything. I mean, for some time we may see it in a broader perspective, but recent research on microplastics show that they can cross the placenta. So this means human babies are not being born with microplastics. And the sad thing is we inhale them everywhere, we get them from clothes, all the plastic things we use. So this is something that when we make dua, we should ask the Sheikh to make special dua, because everything around us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it in such a way that it's causing harm to us. I think because of what you say, that we are harming the earth and doing all these bad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the end harming us. I just want to highlight that that is really close to home. If you look at the research, it's very scary. Because before we used to talk about microplastics in fish, but now the human placenta, the recent paper, I think 2 years ago, 8 months, one paper showed human babies, microplastics are crossing the placenta. So that's something that we need to be very concerned about and try to see how we cap that. I mean, we can't prevent it because we're breathing all these plastics around us, but probably what is the best thing we can do. I just wanted to highlight that.
Brother Ahmed, you have a question or comment?
No more questions? So, yeah, so at the end of this seminar, thank you brothers for your hard work working on this presentation and this informative lecture. And as I mentioned in the beginning, inshallah, we would like to have like this every month with a new topic that benefits the community. Thank you for this, and inshallah, meet you downstairs for dinner after Aisha.
My son is one of the